Oh, yeah. Is it Thursday already? Wow. So little did we know that Star Wars posting the official map of the Star Wars galaxy would lead to such chaos in the Star Wars fandom, as now everything, and I mean everything, seems to be connected. Every project moving forward, all these planets that people are at different points in the timeline, and even the Rakata. We could be getting some callbacks to the greatest empire to ever exist. And no, it's not Palpatine's. Everything moving forward seems to be connected, and it all stems from this map. It's craziness. We got to talk about it. This is Speculationville. We take off in 3, 2, 1. What's up, everybody? How's everybody doing on this fine Thursday afternoon? Okay, so yeah, to end last stream on Tuesday, we took a look at this map that StarWars.com posted, the official map of the Star Wars universe. And we saw some cool little things. We found Tatooine. Took us a while, but we found Tatooine, and we did some cool stuff there. But little did we know that this map would lead to probably the coolest thing that's happened in a very long time in Star Wars. The fact that all these projects that we're going to be talking about today, from The Mandalorian and Grogu to Maul Shadow Lord to Andor to Ahsoka Season 2 to Dave Filoni's movie to the Rey movie and beyond the sequel trilogy to all the way back at the Dawn of the Jedi, every project, even if they're 25,000 years apart, could be connected. It's pretty damn wild. The Mandoverse seems like it's going to be absolutely insane. But before we dive into what the hell I'm talking about, let's say hi to everybody in the chat, shall we? All right. Where were we? Holly, what is up? Chris, how we doing? Carry on in the house. WUV Grad, what is up? 50 Thunder, how we doing? Jason, what is up? Cleve Morris, how we doing? B-Man in the house. Nathan, what is up? Robert, how we doing? Darth Plagueis lives in the house. Starship 66, what is up? Darth Raccoonar, how we doing? Cannibal the Dragon, what is up? Okay. Safari Tano, how we doing? If I missed you, you know the deal. Agnes, what's up? You know the deal. Just yell at me in the chat. Let's give everybody a nice little,
Hello there.
General Kenobi.
All right. So, where do we even start here? Let's see. Let's start with the map itself. Actually, this news just crossed my desk. I don't know why that made me laugh so hard. This news just crossed my desk today, actually this morning, as Jude Law. This is the big breaking news that has nothing to do with the title of this live stream, and I was not planning to even talk about this, but we're definitely going to today. Jude Law is reportedly going to be in multiple Star Wars projects in the future, moving forward. Jude Law plays Jod Nawood in Skeleton Crew, and he will be in multiple upcoming Star Wars projects. So will we be, easy for me to say, will we be seeing Jod and the other Skeleton Crew members in the upcoming Mandalorian and Grogu movie? Or even in Ahsoka Season 2? Or does that mean Skeleton Crew's getting a second season? Well, we'll speculate about that stuff later on in the stream. We got to talk about Thrawn and how all this stuff is connected. Thrawn's plan has been revealed. Oh, and Mark Hamill has talked about this new idea he had for the sequel trilogy. We got a bunch. As per usual, the news is just all over the place today, and we got just insane things to get to on all different sides of the galaxy. But let's take a look at this map really quickly. If you weren't here on Tuesday, this is what happened. StarWars.com posted this official Star Wars galaxy map. And this is what it looks like. Yeah, a lot going on here. So many planets. These lines here are hyperspace lanes. Like you got the unknown regions, mid rim, outer rim over here, Hut space. You got the deep core worlds, inner rim, all that stuff. The biggest thing that fans have noticed, and we noticed this on Tuesday's stream as well, is this cluster over here of very familiar planets. When you look up here, you got Dothamir, you got Atin right next to each other, literally boom, boom, right next to each other. But in this sort of area, you got planets like somebody pointed out in the Discord. Wayland, which we'll talk about that in a little bit. That's the planet of Mount Tantus from the Bad Batch. You got Yavin over here. There was another one. What was it? Yeah, Concordan over there, but no. Oh, Mandalore, yes. Mandalore right there, sort of right next to Dathomir as well, and that's where Bo-Katan is right now in the Mandoverse, and that's where a lot of other characters are. So, the biggest thing is that Thrawn, at the end of Ahsoka Season 1, right now with a bunch of Nightsisters, hundreds if not thousands of Nightsisters, are on Dathomir. So this planet right here, the big home world of Darth Maul and Asajj Ventress and Merrin and the Nightsisters, Mother Talzin, that seems to be our main hub, our main planet, if you will, for the bad guys. That's going to be Thrawn's main base or something. I don't even know. That's where he's going right now. That's where we know he is. So keep that in mind as we talk about possibly Skeleton Crew Season 2 with Atin and, of course, Mandalore. Because this is the Mandoverse we were talking about here. Okay, so let's talk about this. So we're going to go away from that for now. I want to talk about the Rakata Empire first. So let's talk about this. So this comes with an article that I have too, actually. So let me pull this up really quickly. Yeah. So, an Easter egg was just found in the new map. Take a look at this. What the heck? Why can't I pull this? Oh, there we go. A sneaky Star Wars Easter egg. It's got to be sneaky. May have just revealed a major movie twist. Take a look at this. By the way, these are the Rakatas. The Rakatans. You know, like the Rakata cheese? That's what these guys are. Okay? All right. Just so we're on the same page. Star Wars. The Star Wars galaxy is famously far, far away, but it's also mind-bogglingly huge. Much like our own galaxy, people don't really understand how big it truly is. It is enormous. Absolutely enormous. From Luke Skywalker's first trip off of Tatooine to Ahsoka's journey to the neighboring galaxy of Peridea. Interesting, they're calling the galaxy itself Peridea, not the planet. The space opera has become so sprawling that it's difficult to get a handle on just where everything is. But thankfully, we now have a map. Luckily, this new interactive map on StarWars.com, which we were just looking at, is setting the record straight on what is where. It's a helpful guide, and it's sneakily included a planet or two, not just one planet, but multiple planets. That's been relegated to the backgrounds of the modern canon. Modern canon. When Disney took over, of course, the canon changed in Star Wars. You had Legends, you had extended universe stuff, and that all became Legends. And now the canon, especially when it comes to the Rakata, which we're going to talk about quite a bit, when it comes to them, a lot of that information is still Legends. However, we just came off the backs of Andor Season 2, where there was two, not just one, but two references to the Rakata Empire. Okay. But it has a long history in the old, non-canonical Legends timeline. This map, initially developed in 2009's The Essential Atlas, okay, is interactive and includes a way to look up your favorite planets. I did not know that. That would have been a lot easier to find Tatooine on Tuesday. God! According to prolific Star Wars writer Jason Fry, the map will be periodically updated, nice, and there's even an email address for corrections if you're nerdy enough to have spotted an error. Did anybody find an error? Anybody? In the Discord? I sent the link in the Discord after the live stream on Tuesday. Yeah. Okay. But that's the map we were just looking at. There are a lot of fun reveals, including the true location of Atin, the treasure planet from Skeleton Crew. Apparently, it's right next door to Dathomir, Darth Maul's home planet, but more importantly, where Grand Admiral Thrawn just was at the end of Ahsoka Season 1. But we'll get to that in a second. And on the far left of the map, the unknown regions, there is a relatively unfamiliar planet called Rakata Prime. So let's take a look at this. We go back to the map here. The unknown regions are off to the left. The outer rim is off to the right. So in the unknown regions, we got a few familiar faces, few familiar places. One that was kind of a shock to me was Ilum. I didn't realize that was in the unknown regions. But you got Exegol over here, of course, from The Rise of Skywalker. You got Octu over here, where Luke goes into hiding. Clearly, these places in the unknown regions, because it is so uncharted, are hard to find. Luke was missing for years, and nobody could find him because he was in the unknown regions on Octu. Exegol was so hard to find in the movies, clearly, because it was hidden behind some sort of nebula or something. The unknown regions is very hard to navigate. However, right here, just beyond the borders of the mid-rim, there's a planet that goes by Rakata Prime. Interesting. Okay, so a little bit of background. Actually, let's do the fun thing we like to do here. Rakata Star Wars. Let's pull up the Wikipedia. They're an ancient species. They had this big old empire called the Infinite Empire. Took over the whole galaxy. Let's just read that. Okay, hang on. The Rakata, also known as the Builders, were an ancient humanoid species. I mean, how humanoid do they really look? Let's be honest. Like hammerhead sharks or something. The ancient humanoid species with distinctive amphibian features, native to the planet of Leon? Yeah, that planet, however you want to pronounce it. They were technologically advanced and one of the earliest spacefaring races that once ruled the galaxy in its distant past and created early hyperdrive technology. So just before we get into the Force stuff, that's pretty much it. They were one of the most advanced civilizations before anybody else was. So they had the ability to travel through space when nobody else really did. And that allowed them to take over the entire universe. Also because, they had some Force abilities, which we'll get to in 1 second, but we have a super chat. Hang on. Darth Plagueis lives with a very generous $5 holla. Goddamn, I appreciate that quite a bit. Says, this just feels so interconnected and I love it. We haven't even gotten to the interconnected stuff yet. But okay. Do you think this will be connected to Dawn of the Jedi too? Yes, and I think this Rakata stuff is what's going to lead the way. Andor, as much as people love to say it's not connected to, there's no Force users, there's no lore building for the Jedi or the Sith. The mention of the Rakata, the fact that there was multiple mentions of the Rakata, like we're sitting in a world here where Andor, seemingly not connected to anything but Rogue One, is beyond connected to tens of thousands of years before it with the Rakatan Empire. It's pretty wild when you think about that way. Pretty wild. Star Wars Order, what's up? How you been? Rose, how we doing? Okay, so let's get back to the Rakata here. But I appreciate the super chat. Super chats, memberships keep the lights on over here. Oh, and by the way, is Saturday the last stream of the month? Or is Tuesday the last stream of the month? I think Saturday. So Saturday's the last stream of the month. So we got a giveaway coming up on Saturday. So if you are not yet a member, think about becoming a member. We got a giveaway coming up on Saturday. Okay. Where were we? The long-term use of the dark side of the Force corrupted their society and turned them into a race of merciless warriors. Does this guy look merciless to you? Oh, okay. Oh. Does that guy look merciless to you? Looks like this thing on the back of his leg would stab you. Maybe. Merciless. We'll look at those images later. Okay. Merciless warriors. The Rakata used their potent technology to conquer and enslave every other species that they came across throughout the galaxy. During their reign, they were characterized. That's what I said the first time. By their cruelty, savagery, and arrogance. They were known to strip entire planets for their resources. Does any of this sound familiar to you? It's the empire before the empire. Tens of thousands of years before Palpatine tried to sort of do the same thing. Terraforming worlds to fit their own shifting needs and kill entire slave workforces. And wait, what? And to eat and defile the bodies of slain enemies and even members of their own species. They ate their own species? I did not know that about the Rakata. That's really weird. All right, so you get the gist. Dark side users corrupted their whole species. They tried to conquer the galaxy. Actually, they kind of succeeded in conquering the majority of the galaxy, enslaved all the people, mined out worlds. They weren't really great people, you know? They weren't the best. They had their issues, okay? They had their issues. Like they're heroes. What? Okay. They were very, very powerful. Let's just say that. Now, the years that this happened, I believe, are before even. Yeah, let's see. Do we got some years here? Aha, I was correct. Many years before 36,453 BBY. So we're talking way before. Way, way before. Hang on, plot it. Definitely. Wait a second. How did I not know they were from Dathomir? Oh, I'm looking at the completely wrong thing. Sorry. That. My apologies, chat. I thought we were talking about the Rakata here. This is not the Rakata we're talking about. That's on me. Okay. So this is way, way before any of this even, well, obviously the prequel trilogy, but way before any of this Dawn of the Jedi stuff either. This is 11,000 years before. A long ass time. So all this stuff, their empire, which is called the Infinite Empire, all that stuff happens way before even the Jedi come to be. Yeah, 33,000 BBY. So we're talking even 8,000 years before all this stuff, before any of the Jedi, before Titan, before any of the Dawn of the Jedi things. Yeah. Got Nightsister mentioned. Where was that? Oh. According to the beliefs of the Nightsisters, the uses the Infinity Gates. Yeah. Okay. So keep that in mind because there is Dawn of the Jedi coming up with James Mangold at the helm and Mr. Willie Mon. This is the way to give us the backstory of the galaxy with these characters. It can connect to Andor, but it can more likely connect to what's going on Dathomir with Grand Admiral Thrawn and the entire Mandoverse. So think of it this way, okay? Dawn of the Jedi, a movie that takes place 25,000 years before any other Star Wars project, the most disconnected Star Wars project to ever be created, will be set up, literally set up, by projects that come 25,000 years later. The Mandoverse itself, Grand Admiral Thrawn's plan, all of Andor with the mentions of the Rakata, all this stuff with Dathomir, all the stuff with Titan in the Mando Season 2, that's all setting up the Dawn of the Jedi. Now, not setting up like it's going to be the sequel or the prequel to those projects, but these places, and maybe even mentions of the Rakata as well, will happen during this time. Now, let's see when the Empire for the Rakata fell. I'm not particularly sure what years this is. When did the Empire fall? Does anybody know when the Empire fell, chat? Oh, collapse. Here we go. The collapse. Around 25,200 BBY. The Rakatan Empire imploded. Wow. So, yeah, then the Star Forge, which we get into with the Old Republic stuff. Interesting. Hang on, let me look up the Dawn of the Jedi. Because the Dawn of the Jedi says 25,000 years, but obviously it's probably not exactly that. Dawn of the Jedi. And again, this is all legends for now, so it can change drastically. It's set roughly 25,000 years. So again, we might actually see the end of the Rakatan Empire at the beginning of the Dawn of the Jedi. Those two overlap in a way. Yeah. Yes, exactly. after Dawn of the Jedi, Lucasfilm will be filling in the time gaps for the next 100 years. Yeah. Well, that's the thing. The coolest part about Star Wars is it's going to be around way long after we're all gone. But because you're going to Dawn of the Jedi, now you have 25,000 years to explore in the Star Wars timeline. Do you understand that from what we've gotten from the Phantom Menace, actually from, let's say, the Acolyte, from the Acolyte, there's a 100-year gap. Let's say for the Phantom Menace. From the Phantom Menace all the way to The Rise of Skywalker, the very last project that we've got, that's about 70 years. Just 60 to 70 years, somewhere in there. That is nothing. That is the lifetime of one person. We're talking 25,000 years.
This is where the fun begins.
So yeah, Star Wars will be happening long after we're gone, and the stories being told about the Old Republic and all this Dawn of the Jedi stuff, that will be going on forever because there is so much story there. I mean, it took 50 years to tell these 70 years. It's going to take another 50 to tell any of the Old Republic at least. So you got a lot of time. We got some time, you know. Maybe we'll live forever and get to watch it all. I don't know. I'm no scientist. I just sit here and talk about Star Wars. But having said that, Dawn of the Jedi is seemingly supposed to be released within the next couple of years. So this time period is going to be established and explored quite a bit in the very near future. That's why this stuff's important. That's why the Rakata Empire is important. That's why this map that StarWars.com just posted with Rakata Prime on it is important. And it all connects to Grand Admiral Thrawn. We talked about this on Tuesday, but I'll bring it up again. Establishing a villain that's as badass as Vader, that's as smart as Palpatine, that's as feared across the galaxy as the Empire, that's extremely difficult to do. And Thrawn, if done correctly, can be that character. And he could be so much more than that if they do what I think they're going to do. So let's talk about this. Okay? The Rakata Empire, of course, is going to be very, very important. But, and actually, let me finish this article real quick. So, unfamiliar planet called the Rakata Prime. We've only heard the planet's name a few times in canon, but its profile has been amplified by the mention in both seasons of Andor. In season 1, Luthen Rael hands Cassian a kyber crystal necklace that celebrates the uprising against the Rakata invaders. Well, in season 2, Luthen describes the Rakata invasion as happening 25,000 years ago. Did he say that? I guess he did. So these two facts, because these are canon events, actually give you a lot of information about what the Dawn of the Jedi could look like. What sort of Darth Plagueis' super chat was talking about too. This is going to be very interconnected. Andor, the show that's not connected to anything, is going to be very interconnected with a movie that takes place 25,000 years before it. And it's just these two mentions. The first one saying the uprising against the Rakata invaders and it being related to a kyber crystal. Kyber crystals are what power lightsabers. That could be some sort of connection to the Jedi or the Jedi, whatever they're going to be called in this Dawn of the Jedi. Them uprising against the Rakata invaders. That'd be pretty cool. And then the fact that it took place 25,000 years ago, and we just got the information that Dawn of the Jedi will take place 25,000 years ago. It's all very muchly created. Yeah. Okay. But that's not the end of the article. Never mind. Let's keep going. Rakatans come from the 2003... Why is this doing this? Sorry. Rakatans come from the 2003 video game Knights of the Old Republic, where they were an alien species that embraced the dark side and were the first in the galaxy to master hyperspace travel. We just talked about that. In the game, a straggling remnant of the old empire sparks a conflict, and now their planet may actually come into canon again. A 25,000-year jump into the past happens to be the time span given for the James Mangold's upcoming Dawn of the Jedi movie. Meaning, Rakata Prime may not just be a Legends Easter egg. Well, it's no longer Legends because it's on the official canon map of Star Wars. But foreshadowing of a major reintroduction into canon, which is probably within the next 2 years, 3 years at most. We know it's on the mind of at least one Star Wars character, Luthen, and now we know exactly where it is. If this is more than just a coincidence, then its premise, its precise role, English, in canon will likely change, but you should still prepare yourself for a blast. Yeah, for a blast from a very, very distant past. And by very, very distant, he means 25,000 years. So this one planet just being here, hanging out in the unknown regions, it made fans lose their minds. The Rakata are such a great great species from Legends. The Old Republic story is incredible, and it's just talking about them even still as an ancient species at that time. And you get a lot of information from those games about the species, but still, you don't get to see the peak of the Rakatan Empire, anything like that. And I don't really think that Dawn of the Jedi will give us that, but it might show the tail end of it. So that being there is very, very interesting. The connections to planets like Dathomir is very, very cool. And Grand Admiral Thrawn, in the upcoming 2 years of Ahsoka Season 2, Mandalorian and Grogu movie, Dave Filoni's movie, and who knows what other projects, as we're going to be talking about Jude Law's Jod Na being in multiple Star Wars projects moving forward. It's going to be all connected. Now let's move back over to Dathomir, shall we? So, I forget who it was, and tell me in the chat if it was you, because I completely forget. Somebody in the Discord yesterday, pointed out that Wayland, this planet right over here, is very close in proximity to Dathomir. Why is that important? Well, great question. In the Bad Batch, one of the overarching things, and very prominent in Season 3, was the planet of Wayland. Now, maybe you didn't notice that because they never really called it Wayland much. Sorry. But this is the home of Mount Tantus, the cloning facility that Palpatine was creating, Project Necromancer, the ability to clone a Force-sensitive being. And come Season 3, we find out that's where he's able to use Omega's blood, which is the first character he's ever found that has the ability to transform into Chlorians, which is likely to be very important in the upcoming Mandoverse story. But the fact of the matter is, in Legends, in the Heir to the Empire trilogy, in Legends, which, by the way, I'm on the last command now because I'm rereading through or re-listening to on Audible all the books. I'm on the last command finally. In Legends, Mount Tantus exists. Like, that's something like Thrawn that's been brought over to canon. Jorah Sabaoth is there. There's a cloning facility there. That's how they make his army, and that's how they make Luke Skywalker. All that fun stuff. A lot of those aspects of the Legend story are already being brought over to canon, but even more are on the way. Thrawn using Tantus in Legends is likely to happen in canon, and this proximity from Dathomir, where Thrawn is right now, and Wayland is highly likely going to lead to a lot of Legends events playing out on screen for real. Now, will Jorah Sabaoth show up? Probably not, but we've already talked about a canon version of that character, maybe Terran Malicos or Darth Talon if we're lucky, or who knows who else. But maybe even Omega. That would be kind of crazy, but I seriously doubt it. I don't know. We'll see. But the proximity of these two planets leads to the theory that everything has been set up for a lot longer than we could have possibly imagined. The Bad Batch started 4 years ago. And it seems like over the last 4 or 5 years, or 6 years, since The Mandalorian started on Disney Plus, things have been so much more interconnected. I think Mando Season 1 being such a success on Disney Plus gave Jon Favreau and Dave Filoni the ability to go, okay, we can do something absolutely crazy on Disney Plus, so interconnected, this crazy, almost MCU-like universe, and it can all be interconnected and lead to one epic endgame level event. At Star Wars Celebration, Dave Filoni talked about at length how much he's learned from and talked to Kevin Feige about the MCU and how they structured all those first couple phases and how all that interconnected story works. And now, Dave Filoni, who's the chief creative officer in charge of all things Star Wars creatively, and hopefully going to be the CEO by the end of the year, or co-CEO, has the ability to do this. Connect all these different projects from the Bad Batch, which takes place 30 years or 25 years, whatever it is, before Ahsoka and The Mandalorian, and Dawn of the Jedi, and every other project around it. The Maul series. We know for a fact that Darth Maul, at some point in this Maul series, will reside on Dathomir. And whatever happens in that show, because it comes out before The Mandalorian and Grogu and Ahsoka Season 2, will lead to something with Grand Admiral Thrawn on Dathomir. It could lead to Darth Talon being this canon version of Jorah Sabaoth, but I doubt that. I like the Terran Malicos. He's probably a better bet, but tell me in the chat who you think the canon version of Jorah is going to be. It seems very likely that the Maul series, because it takes place on Dathomir, because it's going to involve all those different characters with Mandalorians as well, is going to play to almost set up what happens in Ahsoka Season 2 and probably a little bit the Mandalorian and Grogu movie. Not so much that, but definitely Ahsoka Season 2 with Grand Admiral Thrawn on Dathomir. Then comes in Cal Kestis. So you've already connected the animation side of things, Rebels, Bad Batch, the Maul series, with the live action stuff, with Grand Admiral Thrawn, Dathomir, Ahsoka Season 1, Ahsoka Season 2, all that's connected. Now you go to the video game side of things. Cal Kestis and Merrin. One of the visited planets that you can go explore in the Jedi games, and the story takes you there multiple times, is Dathomir. That's where Merrin is from. She is a Nightsister. That's where you defeat Terran Malicos. That's why he is supposed to be the canon version of Jorah Sabaoth. Dathomir is a very, very, very important planet in the Star Wars timeline right now. Almost everything is connecting back to it because of Nightsisters and Grand Admiral Thrawn. And I guess Darth Maul. Because Asajj Ventress is a Nightsister. As much as she's a Sith assassin and maybe a Jedi at one point, she's a Nightsister. So is Merrin. And we see in Jedi Survivor especially the full extent of the Nightsister magic that Merrin can accomplish. And it's pretty damn powerful. So getting those characters even more connected now to the live action stuff in a post-original trilogy world with the Mandoverse, everything. And we just talked about Jedi 3 on Tuesday too. Everything moving forward is unbelievably interconnected. Because all the current slate of Star Wars projects, from Dawn of the Jedi, Dave Filoni's Star Wars movie, Mandalorian and Grogu movie, Ahsoka Season 2, the Maul series. Is that it? All those things are connected. And they're not just connected to what's to come in the future, but connected to what's to come in the past. The Bad Batch setting up Mount Tantus. Andor setting up the Rakata. Of all places. Andor. It's absolutely insane. Now, with that being said, I do want to put up a poll in the chat. And I want to see what you guys are thinking about. Could Jod be the Jorah Sabaoth? That would be pretty wild because Jorah is kind of, crazy. And Jod's a little crazy too, so I kind of like it. Could Merrin be our Mara Jade? Well, no, because she'd have to marry Luke Skywalker. But other than that, probably not. Yeah, so the biggest difference, and honestly a concern of mine, going into this Heir to the Empire era, let's call it, the Mandoverse, going into it, is Nightsisters. We just came off the backs of The Acolyte. Actually, a year ago yesterday was the year anniversary of Episode 5 Night. Was it called Night? Where it's the whole forest sequence where Kymir takes out a shit ton of Jedi, and it's just peak, like just chef's kiss, incredible. But The Acolyte, as you know, was met with quite the, how do I put this lightly? quite the big old FU from the Star Wars fandom. I mean, it came in with 13% on Rotten Tomatoes before it even aired. And the Nightsisters, or I guess witches, which are Nightsisters, the witches of the show got absolutely shit on. Now, a lot of that because the show was already getting crapped on, but they were lesbian witches. It literally makes no sense. It just is screaming, I'm not a fan of Star Wars, but whatever. Nightsisters, witches, whatever you want to call them, have been around for decades in the Star Wars universe. That's besides the point. The reaction to the witches in The Acolyte is what concerned me. Because we're moving forward with the Nightsisters. We're moving forward with more witches, with Dathomir in live action, with Merrin and Asajj and all these Nightsisters that Grand Admiral Thrawn has for his army. And if it's met with the same reaction that The Acolyte got, we're in deep doo-doo this time. We are in deep doo-doo this time. Now, hopefully, because I'd like to think most people have brains in their heads, we will see how the Nightsisters differ from those witches and how great they are, because they've already been established in canon for well over a decade, since the Clone Wars and, of course, in Rebels too, and all over the place in the Jedi games and now in live action. So hopefully it's not met with the same reaction, but it was last year. Like, it's very fresh in our minds. That was the reaction to witches. And now we're talking about more witches. Because the Nightsister is going to play a big old role as Thrawn's army, pretty much. And they're the ones who are connecting all of this. They're connected to the Clone Wars. They're connected to Merrin. They're connected to Asajj Ventress. They're connected to everybody. And they're even connected to the Rakata Empire. So Dathomir, the Nightsisters, they're very important. And I really hope the reaction to those Nightsisters is not the same as the witches from The Acolyte. I really, really hope so. But that's besides the point. Okay. Yeah, no, absolutely witches are not the only reason that people hated The Acolyte, but they got the majority of the hate. Let's be honest. That third episode that was all about the witches, that got a lot of crap. Yeah. And yes, the Nightsisters from The Acolyte are very different. The Nightsisters of Dathomir are very different from the witches in The Acolyte. That's true. But they are both witches. Like, people that were complaining that there was no male witches are going to be the same people who are complaining that there's no male Nightsisters. So that'll never go away, I guess. Yeah. True. True. The witches appeared in Ahsoka Season 1 before The Acolyte, and they didn't have the same reaction. That's true. That is true. But there was only 3 witches in that. And this was a whole civilization, pretty much, of witches. So it was a little bit different. And yes, they didn't look like people. These witches looked like human beings, you know? Yeah. I think the power of many chanting is what did not do the witches any favors. True. Absolutely. Wait, what? Google has the maps? What are you talking about? Cal and Merrin retired to Alderaan. No, stop with that theory. You can't kill Cal Kestis off screen before he comes to live action. It's impossible. Do I think that Asajj Ventress is coming to live action? Absolutely. Yes. That's the whole idea here. The reason we got Tales of the Underworld this year with Asajj Ventress walking off with that apprentice of hers. That story will be continued. She will come to live action. She will play a somewhat big role in the upcoming Mandoverse project because she is a Nightsister. She's from Dathomir. She has that connection. We just watched her get revived by the waters on Dathomir. Grand Admiral Thrawn just arrived at Dathomir at the end of Ahsoka Season 1 with crates full of dead Nightsisters, or what we think are dead Nightsisters. So the explanation for how they came back to life was in Tales of the Underworld. So when Ahsoka Season 2 happens and Thrawn has this army of Nightsisters, we won't be going, wait, what? Where did they come from? What? That won't happen because Tales of the Underworld just showed us with a fan favorite character of Asajj Ventress. Like, that's just genius. But that's pretty much why we got Tales of the Underworld. Not only to set up Asajj having a future, but also to explain how that will happen. Yeah. Absolutely. Okay. Yeah. So, where were we? No, we don't want to go to that yet. Yeah, all right, let's talk about this. This is another Okay. Let's get back to this map. So the other planet that is very, very important, well, Mandalore too, because that's where Bo-Katan is. That's where Din Djarin probably is hanging out every once in a while because he's working for the New Republic, but he's probably going to visit his homeworld all the time. Mandalore being in that close proximity. This is Dathomir again, right there in the middle. Boom. And this is Mandalore down here. Boom. So Mandalore being there. Actually, they said you could search it somehow. What are we looking at here? I don't see that. Okay, whatever. Mandalore being in close proximity means that Thrawn might have one of his first targets be Mandalore. Like, he might go take over Mandalore because they're very weak right now. We just saw them reclaim their planet, but there's only like, 30 of them? Over exaggeration. But there's not many of them, and Thrawn could likely take them over pretty quickly, especially with Nightsisters. But the biggest one here is the one right next door, and that is at Atin. If you haven't watched Skeleton Crew, I don't know what the hell you're waiting for. Skeleton Crew is freaking phenomenal. It's just forgotten. It's freaking phenomenal, but it's forgotten. FFF. It's triple F. Freaking phenomenal, but forgotten. And it established at Atin, the lost planet of the final Old Republic Forge. The ability to print money. Old Republic Forge, Old Republic Mint, I guess. The ability to print money. That's all Thrawn needs, is money. He's got Nightsisters. He's got the backing of the remnant of the Empire, but he doesn't have ships. He doesn't have money to make ships. And you need money to win a war. And the fact that at Atin on this map, because this is the first time we've ever seen where at Atin is on a map, the fact that at Atin is this close to Dathomir, it's not like kind of in the vicinity. It's right next door. Oh, it's right next door. This is clearly leading to something more. And let's talk about connected. Because as I mentioned at the top of this live stream, this news just broke. Shit, where is it? This news just broke. Okay. Fan favorite 2024 Star Wars character is set to return in future projects. Rumor. One of Star Wars' biggest names from 2024 is reportedly lined up for a bright future in the galaxy far, far away. According to a new Star Wars rumor, one character introduced in 2024 is on their way back to the franchise for more appearances sometime in the future. While Lucasfilm and Disney had a few releases in 2024, The Acolyte, Skeleton Crew, Tales of the Empire, Bad Batch Season 3. Is that it? Rebuild the Galaxy? I think that's it. The year was filled with some high points and some low points, courtesy of its Disney Plus projects. However, one specific character now appears set to have a very bright future. New rumors indicate that Jude Law's Jod Nanawood, or Nanawood, whatever you want to call him, Jod from Skeleton Crew, is in line to return to action in an upcoming Star Wars project. Law made his Star Wars debut in Skeleton Crew amidst a cast of up-and-coming youngsters, portraying a pirate captain and Force user, very important to the story, Force user who was previously trained in the Jedi arts. Not for very long. Not for long at all. But now, with Jedi seemingly coming back to the fold, it appears that Jod Na's story might not be quite over. Industry insider Daniel Rickman is on the most insane tear right now. Like, he's the one who gave us all the news about this with Jod Nanawood. He's the one who's talking about how the Mandalorian and Grogu movie will be a trilogy if it's a success at the box office. and he was talking about something else, but I forget what it was. Shared this rumor, but he did not give any specifics on where or when Jude Law would potentially return. So, Law starred in all 8 episodes of Skeleton Crew as the mysterious pirate captain, guiding a handful of young kids as they were lost in the cosmos and tried to find their way back home. The Skeleton Crew was the last of 4 live action and animated shows developed by Lucasfilm in the year 2024, taking place around 5 years after the Empire's fall. 4 children. Wait, really? Do we know that for a fact? 5 years after? Okay, never mind. 4 children find themselves lost in the galaxy after a discovery on their home planet. Befriending Jude Law's force-wielding pirate along the way, all 8 episodes of Skeleton Crew are streaming on Disney Plus right now. So before we get into what they think, where do you think Jude Law will show up next? Where would Jod make sense to appear next? Not only, well, first of all, tell me what you think in the chat, but not only does this mean we're getting more of Jod, this means we're getting more Skeleton Crew. Not season 2, maybe, but definitely more of all those characters. Atin will be a very important piece to the puzzle, as we assumed it would be moving forward. Grand Admiral Thrawn could use it for money. The New Republic could use it for money. The First Order could use it for money. But Skeleton Crew is clearly not a one and done. It's not a story that's going to be brushed to the side and forgotten about because it doesn't connect to anything. It clearly does. We thought the entire run of the show, we were predicting that Cal Kestis would show up, that Leia would be in there, that maybe even Din Djarin and Grogu could show up, that all these different characters could appear. But no, none of them did. Not a one. However, the big reveal of the season, not only the introduction of a brand new cast and crew with Jod and the kids, Neil, but the planet of Atin, a lost, hidden planet that has been lost for how long? Do we remember how long it was? It was at least the time of the High Republic we came to the conclusion, right? Because of the great works of what the hell's the name of the what's her name, chat? What's the Chancellor's name during the High Republic? Something so not so. What the hell's her name? Chat, somebody help me out. We got a super chat. Hang on. 50 Thunder with a very generous $2 holla. I appreciate it. Says, hey, Sam, hope your new job is going well. Well, I'll relay the message. She's currently there, so she's not here. But I appreciate that. Yes, she did start a new job this week. Pretty epic. But that allows her to not be on the live streams on Tuesdays and Thursdays. So she'll have to come up on Saturdays, I guess. Yeah. Chancellor Valorum? No, that's the Chancellor during the Phantom Menace. I'm talking the High Republic. Brittany says, what's up, Brittany? Thrawn deserves to return to the Chiss. I wonder if they'll actually play into the whole Chiss stuff. Actually, is the Chiss on the map? Lena So, thank you, yes. Lena So. So, not only did Andor also give a mention to the High Republic character of Lena So, the Chancellor of the Republic during the High Republic, but Skeleton Crew also did as well because these hidden planets were part of her great works during the High Republic. This planet has been missing for quite some time. And yes, the hospital in Andor Season 2 was named after her. So, Atin is clearly the most important thing to come out of Skeleton Crew. Now that we're about, 6-7 months out, or 6 months since that show ended. It feels like so much longer ago since that show ended, but it was only 6 months ago. But with that being said, where is Jod going to appear next? Let's keep going. After kicking off Skeleton Crew with an intriguing story for Jude Law's Jod Nanawood, his character now stands on one of the biggest mysteries for the galaxy far, far away. However, the real question moving forward is where exactly Nawood's story could be revisited, particularly with most of the Star Wars upcoming projects being theatrical releases. Star Wars is making a pretty big push to the movie theaters, as we know. Considering Skeleton Crew was partially teased and set up in The Mandalorian Season 3, Some are hopeful that Jude Law would have a cameo or a supporting role in the Mandalorian and Grogu movie. Actually, let's put up a poll. I said I was going to do that and I forgot. Let's put up a poll. By the way, if you haven't smashed a freaking like in the stream, I don't know what the hell you're waiting for. Get on that. Where do you think Jude Law, or let's put Jod Nana will show up next? The Mandalorian and Grogu. Mandalorian and Grogu. Ahsoka Season 2. Or let's go Skeleton Crew. Skeleton Crew Season 2. Now, Skeleton Crew Season 2 doesn't exist yet. We can put a whole nother poll up in that. But actually, let's just tell me in the chat. Do you want a Skeleton Crew Season 2? Yes or no? So vote on the poll and tell me yes or no. Skeleton Crew Season 2, yes or no. So I guess what they're saying here is that there is sort of a connection between The Mandalorian Season 3 and Skeleton Crew. So it would make sense that maybe Jude Law's character could appear in the Mandalorian and Grogu movie, which comes out next year. So much about this movie has remained a mystery and will remain a mystery moving forward. But the only characters and actors that we know of that are in the movie are Pedro Pascal as Din Djarin, Sigourney Weaver as this new character, and not James. What the hell's his name? Jeremy Allen White, the guy from The Bear. He's going to voice Stinky the Hutt. So we don't really know much about this upcoming Mandalorian and Grogu movie. So Jude Law being in the cast, Jod Nah showing up in the movie could happen. But that would be a little confusing if you ask me. Where we last left this character, he was watching as his pirate ship fell on Atin, and the New Republic came in and saved the day. So is he captured by the New Republic, or did he escape, or didn't really seem like he was getting out of there? But with that film bringing together multiple corners of the Mandoverse, a small tease for where Jude Law's character could add a layer of depth to the greater universe if done correctly. These stories are supposed to be connected. When Dave Filoni announced his movie, it would be a combination film of The Mandalorian, Ahsoka, Book of Boba Fett, and Skeleton Crew. All these characters are supposed to be connected. All this is supposed to be connected. It is. Clearly. So not only is Grand Admiral Thrawn and his plan going to be to take over Dathomir, which he already has done, get a bunch of Nightsisters, reclaim the galaxy, but now he's going to go to Atin. Get the money to fund this war, to build his ships, to do all this stuff, take over the galaxy. He'll take Mandalore. He'll go to Wayland to get Mount Tantus, maybe start cloning. It's all ridiculously connected. And it's all been set up through 3 seasons of Mando, Ahsoka, Book of Boba Fett, Skeleton Crew, 6 seasons of television, live action, 3 seasons of The Bad Batch. I mean, you could argue that Rebels is also a setup, but I guess whatever. A lot of television has been setting this moment up. This big old theatrical event. Mandalorian and Grogu movie. And hopefully Dave Filoni's movie as well. It should be a trilogy, okay? It should be a trilogy. It's a trilogy with the backing of over 9 seasons of television. You're going into a trilogy with so much information about these characters already. Everybody knows, I guess not everybody. Most people know who Grand Admiral Thrawn is. Everybody knows who Ahsoka Tano is. Rebels crew, maybe not as popular, but still, most people know who those characters are. And Din and Grogu, obviously. So you're going into this movie trilogy with an already established, loved characters. Can't go wrong with that. I mean, you could go wrong, but hopefully you can't go wrong with that. But, continuing. If done correctly. That's the biggest thing. Additionally, Skeleton Crew cast remains hopeful that the series will get a second season. That's the big question, too. I saw a ton of yeses about getting season 2 of Skeleton Crew, but tell me in the chat. Which would be the most natural place to bring Jude Law's character for more action. The start of a new season could even replicate the start of season 1 in a way, with season 1 surrounding Jod Nah in mystery as a character, and season 2 having the chance to keep up that mystery after his story took such an ambiguous turn in early 2025 as he turned on the kids. Regardless, with the entire Star Wars franchise in a state of flux, seeing Jude Law again could bring a jolt of energy once fans find out where exactly Lucasfilm plans to bring him back. This whole state of flux type thing, yes, it seems like there's going to be a big shift in leadership if Kathleen Kennedy does step down from the position of CEO and gets replaced by Dave Filoni and possibly Carrie Beck as co-presidents or CEOs. It does seem like we're in this sort of transitioning of power, but I disagree with this state of flux for the Star Wars universe. It seems to me, with the conversation we're having today, that it has never been this connected. Star Wars, of course, you have the original trilogy and the prequel trilogy, which are, you could argue, a little bit connected with the characters of Anakin and Padme and Obi-Wan and I just almost said their kids, like Obi-Wan was involved with that. Luke and Leia, they're pretty connected, just a little bit. But since they went to the shows, since they went to the Clone Wars and Rebels, there have been connections like Ahsoka Tano, like Captain Rex, but they're also completely different stories, completely different time periods. What the shows and hopefully now movies are doing right now, the connective tissue between all these different stories, like the Bad Batch itself is 3 seasons of establishing these clone characters that you fall in love with, and some of them die. But it's really establishing Mount Tantus. Skeleton Crew, you fall in love with all these characters, this big old twist of Jod Nanawad, but it's really just establishing Atin. All this stuff just to set up Grand Admiral Thrawn, the big blue meanie, so that he can go take Atin, so that he can go to Wayland to get Mount Tantus. All this stuff to set up the heir, the Empire. It's crazy. It's so interconnected. Since Tuesday, all my mind has been doing is going. If you didn't catch that, it was because of how connected this whole story is. All of the projects that have come out over the last 6 years have been unbelievably interconnected, and we just haven't even realized it yet. We see some of it. We see that obviously shows like the Mandoverse are all connected. Book of Boba Fett, Mandalorian, duh. But the Bad Batch. But Andor, mentioning the Rakata Empire. That stuff is so next level. It's clear that there's a whiteboard in Dave Filoni's office. There's a whiteboard in Kathleen Kennedy's office. There's a whiteboard in everybody's office that's going, Dawn of the Jedi over here. Heir to the Empire trilogy over here. Bad Batch over here. Andor over here. Rey movie, which we'll get to in a second because it is more connected than that. Rey movie and post-sequel stuff over here. And then there's just lines. It's all connected. Everything! As the great Luthen once said. I still got to add that everything button. Here, for now, we'll just go with this.
This is where the fun begins.
It's all connected. It's crazy. It's absolutely crazy. So, let's talk post-sequel stuff for a second. How is Starfighter, the Rey movie, Simon Kinberg's trilogy, how is all of that going to be connected to what's going on right now? Great question. Geez, you guys are asking such great questions in the chat today. It's insane. So, with Ahsoka Season 2, we are going to be establishing this war in our Star Wars, Grand Admiral Thrawn versus Akbar, Heir to the Empire versus the New Republic. That's clear. That'll start in the Mandalorian and Grogu movie, continue in Dave Filoni's movie, and hopefully have a big old climactic ending with a Mando trilogy. But there's another story going on at the same time. Actually, 2. As I said, the Maul series will set up Dathomir more, Mandalorians more, and be connected to the story that comes after it. But it will also set up Darth Talon. Keep that name in the back of your head. Ahsoka will also have Peridia. As we currently have it, Ahsoka, Sabine, Baylan Skoll, Shin Hati, Huge Wang. They're all trapped on this completely different galaxy on this planet called Peridia. Over there, they're going to encounter some weird things. They've already found some Mortis God statues. Grand Admiral Thrawn was clearly running from something while they were there. And yeah, there's a shimmering light on the mountain that could be Abeloth. So as we move to the future, post sequels, all this stuff being connected, you now have two major villains who could be your future. Because how do you one-up Palpatine? It's almost impossible, but how do you do it? Well, there's two options. One, you go with Abeloth, which is going to be set up in Ahsoka Season 2, and that's just absolutely insane because she's unbelievably powerful. She's literally a god. Literally a god. That would be pretty crazy. Or you can go the route of a group, not just one, but a group of Sith Lords. And this comes from the other theories that we were talking about last week, and that was that Darth Maul, or the Maul series, I should say, will be setting up Darth Talon, Maul's apprentice, the original idea for the sequel trilogy that George Lucas had to have Maul and his apprentice Darth Talon be the villains of the main trilogy. That will happen. They will lead the underworld. Maul will train Talon, and at some point, somehow, some way, for some reason, which we don't know yet because we got to watch the show, Talon will leave. She will not be with Maul because she's not by the time of Solo. She's not by the time of Rebels. She's gone. So Talon will go off and do whatever the hell she does. We don't know. But in Legends, she joins this group of Siths led by Darth Krayt, which again, how interconnected can this really get? If we get a Kenobi Season 2 with Darth Krayt, or the setup for Darth Krayt, it would be absolutely insane. If you don't know who Darth Krayt is, let me give you a little bit of a backstory. Darth Krayt, originally known as Asherad Het, was a Tusken Raider Jedi. Yeah, you heard that right. Tusken Raider Jedi, badass, I know. Who fought Obi-Wan Kenobi. Well, let me even rewind even more. Survived Order 66, goes back to Tatooine, is helping out the Tuskens as they sort of kill moisture farmers and stuff, and they have their eyes set on Uncle Owen and Aunt Beru and Luke, and Obi-Wan can't let that happen, so he stops him, and they have a cool lightsaber fight. Asherad escapes, but now he's disowned by the Tuskens and has to leave the planet. Long story short, he loses to Obi-Wan, goes off planet, turns into a Sith Lord because he goes to a Sith planet. I forget which Sith planet, but he goes to a Sith planet, becomes a Sith Lord, creates his own Sith Order, comes back years and years and years later with his own Sith Order with Darth Talon at his side. I don't know why I'm so close to the screen right now. I don't know why I'm yelling so much today. I'm excited, okay? I'm just excited. This is me right now. So, yeah. So we could be going down one of two routes. Abeloth, which would be fan-freaking-tastic, which is set up by Ahsoka Season 2, again, very interconnected, or the Maul series setting up Darth Talon, while a Kenobi Season 2 comes right out of left field and gives us Asherad Het, gives us Darth freaking Krayt. So now, the Rey movie could be Jedi versus Sith. Now, it's not to the same level as the Jedi-Sith Wars of the Old Republic, but it's the closest thing we got right now. Multiple Sith Lords versus multiple Jedi. I don't know. Both options are great to me. Abeloth is so unbelievably overpowered because she's a god. But we know for a fact that two things are happening. One, Talon will be in Maul. I saw it with my own two eyes. There's a Twi'lek apprentice of Darth Maul in the Maul series. That's Talon. Unless my eyes deceive me, which they did not. And then Abeloth. That's what Ahsoka Season 1 was setting up. That's what Ahsoka Season 2 will give us. So, Talk about being connected. Everything for the foreseeable future will be unbelievably connected. And it has been for the last 5 to 6 years, and we just haven't noticed until a map gets released. So for years, the people over at Lucasfilm, Kathleen Kennedy, Dave Filoni, Jon Favreau, all these, Brad, I forget what Brad's last name is, Brad, all these people have been interconnecting all these projects from Andor to Ahsoka to The Mandalorian to The Bad Batch to everything in a map. This map just gave us all the answers. This is the answer key to the test. Do you want to know how Grand Admiral Thrawn becomes the heir to the Empire? Can I get some good customer orders in the chat, please? Bum, ba. Do you want to know how he becomes the heir to the Empire? Well, here first he starts on Dathomir, as we know. That's where he is right now. Takes out Atin. Gets all his money. Money, please. Gets all of his money. If you know, you know. Goes to Wayland, Mount Tantus, starts cloning Force sensitives. Maybe creates a Luke Skywalker for all we know. Only time will tell. Could go and take over Mandalore, Concord Dawn. It's moon. Is that why it's a smaller circle? Maybe. The smaller circles are moons? No, Yavin's enormous. I don't know. But that's where he starts. He creates this empire right here and then goes from there. Where he'd go next, I don't know. But let's not forget that this is made for a purpose. Grand Admiral Thrawn is a tactical genius, as much as Palpatine was that as well, creating an entire galaxy-wide war where he was the leader of both sides. Grand Admiral Thrawn is a tactical genius. He plans everything out in his head before it happens. He knows everything's going to happen before it happens because of his strategic genius. He's not a Force user. He's not a Sith Lord. He's not going to be having sparkle fingers. He's not going to have lightning shooting out of his fingers. I was trying to think of a different word for fingers, but I couldn't. Fingers. He just has his mind. So I would not be surprised if we saw a map that looked just like this in Ahsoka Season 2, where Grand Admiral Thrawn is looking exactly at the map and where he's taking over next. And you'd see probably this red bubble that's growing and growing and growing as he's trying to take over the Empire, or take over the galaxy as the heir to the Empire. Now, looking at this map, I don't really see where he would go next after he does all that stuff. Obviously, the goal is Coruscant, but I don't think he'd be going there anytime soon. There is the theory, and I love it, that he does take Coruscant, because we know from the sequel trilogy that by the time of the sequel trilogy, by the time of The Force Awakens, Coruscant is not the main hub, is not the main planet of the New Republic. It's not. Because if it was, then the Starkiller Base would have destroyed it. Starkiller Base destroys the other planets, which, by the way, where are they? Do we know what those planets are? Hang on, chat. Do we know what planets the Starkiller Base blows up? Can somebody look that up? Somebody help me out in the chat. What planets does Starkiller Base blow up, and where are they on this map? That would be fan-freaking-tastic. Sandrella's right there? Wow. That is a lot closer to Coruscant than I thought it was. But going back to over here, Steerguard's right there, but that Starport Borgo, is that not the starport from Skeleton Crew? Hang on. Hang on, chat. Starport Borgo. It is. That's hilarious. Look at this, chat. Starport, oh, what the hell? Starport Borgo, right here. The starport where all those pirates were in Skeleton Crew, the big old starport. All the pirates there were looking for Atin for years. And it was right there. Right next door. Now, obviously, this is a galaxy, so those 2 points are very, very distant points. But still, it was right next door. Right there. Ironic. Ironic. Thrawn will have to take Coruscant or something close to the New Republic bases. Yes, but here's the thing. If he takes Coruscant, it would explain why the New Republic is not on Coruscant by the time of the sequel trilogy. You know? Yeah, because Johnson wanted to destroy Coruscant? No, J.J. Abrams wanted to destroy Coruscant. Hosnian Prime was one of them. You're absolutely right. Where is Hosnian Prime on this thing? Oh, Hosnian Prime's right here. Okay. So Hosnian Prime got blown up by Starkiller Base. And Starkiller Base was Ilum, right? Or Ilum gets turned into Starkiller Base. So Starkiller Base is all the way over here, and it's shot across the galaxy to blow up Hosnian Prime. That's crazy. Just out of curiosity. Okay, they didn't. Because in Ahsoka Season 1, Baylan Skoll warns them not to be stuck in between galaxies because there's this place called the Void. So I was wondering if, like, around the galaxy they called it the Void, but it does not look that way. Okay. Where do I search a planet? Can we do that? It said we could do that somewhere. Explore more, maybe? Whoa, okay. That's a lot of planets. Holy crap. How do you explore the planets? They have a number associated with them. Ah, it's the grid pattern, duh. Okay, never mind. Never mind. But Thrawn is starting right over here on Dothamir. And I got a feeling. Oh, interesting. The Zepho planet is over here. I got a feeling he's going to be taking over a lot of these planets over here. Specifically, Mandalore, Wayland, and Atin. I think Atin will be the first one to fall, and that's how the New Republic will actually take it seriously. Because if you remember, Ahsoka Season 1, they're all like, Grand Admiral Thrawn, who? He's gone. They don't care what Ahsoka has to say. They don't care what Harrison Dula has to say. Other than Mon Mothma, everybody else is like, okay, nobody cares about this. The New Republic has way more issues than just worrying about the big blue meanie coming back. This is just, we're seeing ghosts. Harrison Dula is seeing ghosts. And that might be, or that is the downfall of the New Republic, obviously, which we see in the sequel trilogy, but that might be what leads to Coruscant falling and them having to move Hosnian Prime. You're going to see some sort of change in canon to an extent, because there's this whole big hole, literally a hole, in the Star Wars timeline, this giant gap from now until the sequel trilogy that needs to be filled in. And where we reside in The Force Awakens, the New Republic is on Hosnian Prime, or it's in the Hosnian Prime system, which gets blown up by Starkiller Base. And it's not on Coruscant. So it has to be some sort of story that's related to Grand Admiral Thrawn, which turns into that. Thrawn could take Scipio, that would be huge. What's the significance of that planet? I don't remember. Thrawn's motivation was to protect the Chiss, not to take over the galaxy. I agree with you, but here's where I think that Peridia comes into play. In Ahsoka Season 1, if you go back and watch it, or if you just remember, in Ahsoka Season 1, Thrawn is running. He's running. We don't know what he's running from, but he's running from something. He's trying to get off Peridia as soon as possible. He knows that whatever is out there, probably Abeloth, but we don't know that for sure, whatever is out there is scary enough that he wants to get out of there as soon as possible. As soon as Morgan Elsbeth arrives with Baylan Skoll and the others, they're like, we got to get out of here. Baylan, if you want to go chase down Sabine and Ezra, go for it. We're out of here. And they leave. I think, yes, Thrawn's motivations in canon are still similar to the ones in Legends and in canon too, in the Thrawn trilogy. But it would make a lot of sense that he would want to protect the galaxy or protect his people from whatever threat he's running from on Peridia. So I think that's what the first season is fixing or is explaining. And Ahsoka season 2 will give more of that. What was he running from? That's what Ahsoka season 2 will tell us. And I think the reason he's taking over the galaxy is not because he's Palpatine and he wants to just take over the whole galaxy, but yes, the same reasons that he does it in Legends and in canon from the Thrawn trilogy that is canon. He's just trying to protect his people. Now, hang on. Let's see if this is on the map. Should I Google Scorpio or whatever it is? All right. So Thrawn's planet is where the Chiss are from is called what? Scylla? Something along those lines? All right, hang on. Scipio, an ice-covered planet. This is in canon. Okay, canon. An ice-covered planet located in the galaxy's outer rim territories, positioned in the Alberio system, and serves as the headquarters to the intergalactic banking clan. Ah, that's why, the banking clan. Okay. I see. Home of the Mun. Yeah, if he can get the banking clan and Atin, he would have infinite money. What is going on with Jabba over here? Oh, that's not Jabba. Okay. That's a very weird image. Okay. So that would be very important. Yeah. Is that nearby? Hang on. Let's check it out. Does anybody see it on the map? I don't see it. I'm not going to spend hours looking for it. Where is it? Okay, I can't find it. Never mind. Okay. So Scylla is his homeworld. Is that on this map? Oh, this map is hard to look at sometimes. Because it is a lot. Should we go to the other thing and try and find it? I'm guessing it goes in alphabetical order, right? Zoom in on this. How the hell is it? Boom, 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 boom. Okay. It is in alphabetical order. Okay. So we're looking for C, because it's C, Scylla. A, B, C, D, E, F, G. Oh my God, look at all these B names. Okay, there we go. C, Scylla. Oh my God, there's so many planets here. Ah, found it. Scylla, Chiss space. F8 in the unknown regions. Chiss space? Okay. F8. F. Oops. Oh, what the heck? F8. Oh, there it is. Okay. The more you know. So, Thrawn's homeworld right here in the unknown regions. In Legends and in canon, his motivations are to protect his people. And hopefully that remains the same in canon. Or it is in canon, but hopefully it remains the same in live action, I should say. But there will need to be an explanation as to why he wants to take over the galaxy. And I think that whatever happened to him on Peridia is good enough. And that will do it. All right, well, now using that same logic, let's find Scipio or whatever it's called. Now we gotta go all the way down to S, which is probably way down here. Oh, that's only H. Okay, there's a. Oh my God, how many pages are there? 59. Okay. Oh, I passed it. T is after S in the alphabet, Mike. Freaking idiot. All right, where? There we go. Nope, still gotta go back. Still gotta go back more. Oh my God. Okay, here we go. Nope, still gotta go back more. Aha, there it is. K5. I think I'm playing the crossword or something. K right here. 5 up top here. Right down the middle almost, right up top. Let's see. K5. Aha, right there. But that's very far from Dathomir. I don't know. We'll see if he sort of goes in this outer rim area, because the New Republic, as we know, does not have much control over the outer rim. Oh, Navarro. That's actually a great point. Where would Navarro be over here? Let's go back to our grid system, I guess. A, B, C. Okay. Let's see. E, nope. O, getting closer. N, okay. Navarro. Is it N? A? Yes, N-A. Navarro. Nope, that's M. All right, here we go. Oh, is it N-E actually? Navarro? Hang on, Chet. N-E? I think it is. Navarro, there we go. K20. K20 is all the way down here. Holy crap. Okay. Never mind then. K20 is Navarro. Wait, what? Where is it? Liar.
Incorrect.
Oh, there it is right there. Never mind. I'm looking right at it. So this is where Din Djarin and Grogu are. At least last we saw him. So they're on Navarro hanging out right next to Mustafar, apparently. That's pretty far from where Mandalore is. He might not be there when it gets taken. But we shall see. I could play with this map for hours. I know, I'm getting lost. We're getting too off topic. Okay. Star Wars continues to be the GOAT that it is. Absolutely. K5 bingo. Did we hit bingo? Interesting. Thrawn's motivations all revolve around the Grisk. They pose a threat to everybody. Thrawn wants to defeat them for the sake of the galaxy and for the Chiss. True, and the Grisk are the threat that he has before he leaves for Peridia. So the question is, well, I guess he's fighting a war on many different fronts. Not just the New Republic, who's obviously upset with him, but the Grisk, and maybe even a threat from this new galaxy that he knows and spent 11 years at. But yes, from the canon books that he has, his main goal is to protect his people from the Grisk. Now, the Grisk are a species that are pretty new to the canon, I guess, that reside in the unknown regions. So, much like the Rakata, which we talked about early on in this live stream, they're a very powerful species, and we haven't seen that yet in Star Wars. We've seen Force users, we've seen Jedi, we've seen Sith, but we haven't seen a species strong enough to take over planets or galaxies. It's usually like Sith Lord can be anything. You see, Plagueis is a Mun, Palpatine's a human, Tenebris is a Bith, I think. Bith Sith, nice. Yeah. So the Grisk are a whole species, and a very powerful one at that. So Thrawn's reasoning for joining the Empire is to protect his people from the Grisk. So hopefully those motives stay the same, but I think still that whatever he saw in Peridia, the 11 years he spent on that planet, he saw something. He found something out, and he was running from it at the beginning or at the end of Ahsoka Season 1. And that will be revealed in Ahsoka Season 2, and his real motivations will be clear to the audience, because right now, we don't get much of Thrawn. Let's be honest. We get 3 episodes of him, maybe? 2 or 3 episodes of him in Ahsoka. That's it, in live action. Then in animation, we get 2 seasons of him in Rebels, and in those 2 seasons, it's not like he's in every episode. We got so little of this character in live action and in animation. He still has the majority of his content in books, and still probably even the majority of the majority is Legends. So we still need to be introduced to this character a whole lot more. At least more so of the normie fans that don't read the books or don't follow the Legends material either. So Thrawn's motivations need to be made very, very clear through the course of the Mandalorian and Grogu movie, Ahsoka Season 2, and the material that comes after that. Yeah. But hopefully it leads to the Grisk, because that would be great. The real problem is, and not problem, but how they're going to, I guess, navigate through all this stuff is, how does Thrawn, if it is setting up the Grisk, if it is setting up a bigger threat from the other galaxy, like probably Abeloth, how does that not get mentioned in the sequel trilogy? Especially if the Grisk are a very big threat as a species to the rest of the galaxy? How is that not something that's relevant in the sequel trilogy? So it's going to be hard, but if anybody can do it, it's Dave Filoni to navigate that world of what can and can't be done before the sequel trilogy and what has to connect to after the sequel trilogy. Because there is still 25 years, but the majority of that 25 years is somewhat peaceful. So Thrawn has to come and go. Luke Skywalker has to make his Jedi Academy, and that has to come and go. And the First Order has to rise to power, all in this 25-year gap. Now, 25 years sounds like a long time. It is. But for a whole Jedi Temple to rise and fall, for the galaxy to have two new leaders try to rise to power with the First Order and Grand Admiral Thrawn, a lot has to happen in just 25 years. So, and it can't really be too much because then it would be mentioned in the sequel trilogy. It's a very thin line that needs to be walked along, and we'll see how they do. Can we give some props? Can we just give Andor props for hitting all kinds of planets over 5 years? Yeah, you meant kinds of planets over 5 years, and not one of them was called Tatooine or Jakku. I mean, yeah. Andor does what Star Wars has been doing forever, and that's introduce new planets. A New Hope, it gives you Tatooine, it gives you Yavin, it gives you pieces of Alderaan, literally. It gives you new planets. Then you go to Empire Strikes Back. You get Hoth. You get Hoth. And you also get Hoth. You get Bespin. You get Dagobah. You get all these great new planets. In Return of the Jedi, you get Endor. Like, there's so many new planets always in Star Wars. Naboo in the prequel trilogy, Coruscant in the prequel trilogy, Kamino in the prequel trilogy, Mustafar in the prequel trilogy. They're always introducing new planets. It does feel like, especially with the Mandoverse, although it does introduce Navarro and other new planets, Tatooine is such the focus. It's in Mando. It's in Book of Boba Fett. It's in Mando again. It's in Mando again. It's in Mando again. It's in Mando. Did I mention it was in Mando? It's the main Star Wars planet, if you will. So, yes, getting a lot of new planets in Andor was quite nice, even though we did get some familiar ones too. I mean, look at this map, okay? There's a lot of planets. A lot. So, when you have similar planets showing up, it's almost weird. Like, it almost means something more. That's why Dathomir showing up so much in all these different projects means something. Clearly. Yeah. Thrawn had just encountered the Grisk a day or two before he was taken to Peridia. He comes back and learns that Palpatine is gone. He fights the Grisk, then goes home to the Chiss. Happy ending, LOL. Honestly, that'd be kind of crazy. Imagine Thrawn was like, I'm going to take over the galaxy. The New Republic was like, no. And he's like, okay, but I'm not trying to take over the galaxy to be like Palpatine. I'm just trying to protect my people. And then the New Republic and Thrawn work together? Like, that'd be crazy. That'd be crazy. I don't see it happening, but yeah. Obi-Wan for Tatooine too, true. True. It felt like for a while we were getting a lot of Tatooine. Obi-Wan, Book of Boba Fett, both those projects were like, the main place was Tatooine. The sequels take place in about a year or so, maybe just starting to enter the galaxy by the sequel trilogy because they stopped them from coming in earlier, perhaps? Oh, okay, so you're saying like they stopped the Grisk, or they maybe stopped Abeloth, or maybe both. Who knows? From coming into the galaxy, the known galaxy, because they're coming from the unknown regions, or a different galaxy with Abeloth. And then, because the sequel trilogy only lasts a year, then right after is when they come full force. I can see that. I could see that. Yeah. True. But it is funny because we found Tatooine on this map, finally. I already forget where it is. Oh, right here. This planet all the way out here in the middle of the unknown regions, all the way out in the middle of nowhere. is the main planet of all these projects when all these planets exist. Now, Coruscant, of course, is the main hub of the galaxy, but Tatooine is pretty funny that it's all the way out there. Now, just out of curiosity, where's Naboo? Where are the Nubians? Nubians! Where are the Nubians at? The Nabubians at? Did you see what Gareth Edwards said about Rogue One not being the greatest movie of the Disney era? Wait, what? But he said his apprentice, he appreciated it, and the people who loved it, Mike, I did not see that he said that it was not being the greatest movie of the Disney era. I saw that he was not coming back to Star Wars, but he loved his time with Star Wars. I don't know. We'll have to check that out in a sec. It's in the purple? Okay. Let's check it out. Where is the Nubian? Oh, there it is right there. Boom. Oh, it just caught my eye. That's so great. Right there. So Naboo, they escape Naboo. By they, I mean in The Phantom Menace, Qui-Gon Jinn, Obi-Wan, Padme, Anakin. They escape Naboo. They need to fix their hyperspace drive, and they end up on Tatooine. That seems pretty far. Now, this line does go directly to Tatooine, so maybe that's the line they were on, the trajectory they were on. But that's pretty crazy. Adelphi, the Adelphi base. Okay, interesting. Now we're putting things together here for Mando. The Adelphi base is over here for the New Republic, and Navarro is over there. See, these things to me feel like they're so far apart. Like, this is all the way over here, that's all the way over there. Naboo is all the way over here. Tatooine's all the way over there. This is an entire galaxy. If those are that close, then think about how freaking close Dathomir and Atin are. They're right next to each other. They could, like, throw a stone and reach the other planet. Not actually, but you know what I mean. Yeah. Are the white lines hyperspace lanes? I think so. And I think these bigger white lines that are labeled 1 through 5, they are something specific. Hang on. Let me see. They're major trade routes in the galaxy. Let's see. So the ones that are the big, thick white lines that are labeled 1 through 5, those are these 5 major trade routes. Yep, English. So, yeah. Oh, I thought they said the Hulk. I'm losing it. So these are the major trade routes. Corporate sector all the way back to Coruscant. This one going all the way out to there. These ones coming down here. Go all the way out to Ryloth. So Ryloth is on this major trade route. If we scroll down here. All the way down there. Yeah. There you have it. Okay, so what Justin was just talking about was this Gareth Edwards stuff, talking about Rogue One. We can tap into this quickly, too. So let's do that. Oh, yeah, I want to show you guys this, too. Actually, before we get to the Gareth Edwards stuff, this does connect a little bit, so I want to talk about this. So, as we're talking about all this stuff being connected, Grand Admiral Thrawn, Bad Batch, the Dawn of the Jedi, all the way through, Rakata Empire, everything. At Atin, everything. There's a character that we all thought was going to appear in Skeleton Crew. Can anybody guess what character I'm thinking of right now? The character that we all thought was going to appear in Skeleton Crew and didn't, by the way. Did not. And I guess that kind of just breezed over. Where's Hoth on the map? Where's Lothal? I'm just curious now. Oh, we can't keep looking at him. I'll send the link in the Discord again so you guys can look for yourselves. Yeah. Yes. No, not Sid. No. Hondo Unaka. So, Hondo Unaka, we thought was coming to live action in Skeleton Crew. Didn't happen. However, I think maybe Lucasfilm saw what we were doing because everybody was like week in and week out. Hondo is showing up and he didn't. His ship was there, but he didn't. I'm losing my voice. Ah! Okay. Much better. Obviously. But now, with Maul coming back, with the underworld coming around, with the talks of more Jude Law's John Nawood and more pirates in Star Wars. The character of Hondo is in Star Wars Rebels. Has quite the relationship with Ezra Bridger, who's now going to be in Ahsoka Season 2. And he's a part of the Resistance by the time of the sequel trilogy, as we know from the Galaxy's Edge Rise of Resistance, or no, the other one, Smuggler's Run. Yeah. So, interestingly enough, Star Wars themselves posted this.
I am the great Captain Hondo Onaka. Oh, the stories I could tell. So many of them true. I'm rich. I'm dead. I'm flying. This effort is no longer profitable. I am the...
So, just out of nowhere, out of the blue, yesterday, they posted this, and it says, "Live, laugh, Hondo." For more Hondo Unaka, watch the Clone Wars and Star Wars Rebels on Disney+. A little strange, just out of nowhere, a nice appreciation post for Hondo Unaka after we're talking about all this stuff being connected, and more Jude Law's Jod character, which is a pirate, and Ahsoka Season 2 being the bringing together of all the Rebels crew with Zeb finally coming on board. And we know Dave Filoni, he loves to keep these characters coming back for more. So it doesn't mean this just appearing out of nowhere means that Hondo will be coming to live action at some point soon. But I mean, it's only a matter of time. Let's be honest. In this galaxy that we've clearly made pirate friendly during the time of Mandoverse with Skeleton Crew, it's only a matter of time before Hondo Unaka shows up. And with Dave Filoni at the helm of Ahsoka Season 2, I'd put my money on that. Just a little thing. Just a little thing. Yeah. Saw this yesterday. I was like, we got to talk about that. You say U7 is where Lothal is? U7? U7? Wait, what? Oh my God. Lothal is all the way out here in the Outer Rim. Like on the border. Huh. The more you know. That's crazy. Okay. Now let's talk about Gareth Edwards. Okay. This is coming from Variety Today. Yeah, today. Okay. Rogue One director says, "I'm happy to move on from Star Wars. I don't agree with it being the best Disney Lucasfilm era movie." Tell me in the chat, is Rogue One the best Star Wars movie of the Disney era? Yes or no? And if so, where does it rank amongst all Star Wars movies? I know for a lot of people, Andor, myself included, made Rogue One even that much better of a movie. Already it was in my top 3, and it might even be in my top 2 now. I don't even know anymore. It's all so crazy. But where does Rogue One sit on your list of Star Wars movies? Is it top 5? Is it top 10? Is it top 2? Is it top 3? Where is Rogue One? Tell me in the chat while we read this. All right, let's see. What does Gareth Edwards have to say? Rogue One director Gareth Edwards recently told, by the way, let's get a round of applause for Gareth Edwards. I feel like whenever we talk about Rogue One and how great it is, we talk about Tony Gilroy, who obviously deserves a lot of credit for coming in and saving the day with that stuff. But Gareth is the director. He's the guy who made the whole freaking movie. So he's got to get the flowers too. Tony does make Andor, but Gareth Edwards made Rogue One. He recently told Business Insider that he would never make another Star Wars movie, adding in, "I'm very happy to move on and do my own thing." This makes a lot of sense. He made a one-off movie of Star Wars. It's not like he's got a story to continue or anything like that. But starring Felicity Jones and Diego Luna, Rogue One is the first Star Wars spin-off movie and centers on a group of rebels on a mission to steal the Death Star plans. We knew this already. Blah, blah, blah. Made over $1 billion. We get that. So here's what he had to say. "I don't agree with it, but I appreciate it." In terms of, he said when Rogue One was cited as the best Star Wars movie of the Disney era, "I'm very grateful for people who say nice things." So I'm curious to see what he thinks is the best. I don't think he goes into it here. But to me, it's the best. I mean, I love The Force Awakens. I like Solo a lot. The other two I watch and enjoy, but they're not my favorite. Um, but it's by far my favorite of the Disney era. Like it's that good. Like it's top tier. But tell me what you think of the chat. All right. What you have to keep. Oh, by the way, it's the 10-year anniversary of this movie. I forgot about that. Rogue One turns 10 years old this year. Or no, it doesn't. Next year. Oh, yeah. I just saw 10-year anniversary, and I was like, yeah, it's 10-year anniversary. It's the 10-year anniversary this year of The Force Awakens. Next year is Rogue One. Okay. What you have to keep in your pocket as you go through making other films is that it's not about how people feel the day that it gets released. It's about how people feel when it's 10 or 20 years from now. Gareth Edwards adds about Rogue One hitting its 10-year anniversary next year. When you make a movie, you're living at least a year from now. You're trying to imagine what it's like. All these decisions you're making, and they are going to be, what are they going to be like a year from now when the movie is released? What is the audience going to think? As well as the movie, when the movie comes out, you go, I'm pretending to live 10 years from now, and it doesn't matter what people say in the moment. So pretty much what he's saying is what's going on in the world at the time of the release, because that can affect a movie, and what happens from 10 years from now. Does this movie still hold up, and is it still good? Seeing that we're 9 years out since Rogue One was released, I can still say wholeheartedly it's a great movie, and it actually has gotten better over the last 9 years because of Andor. But yeah, it's just an incredible movie. Having said that, it's the kids who come up to you in 20 years from now and go, oh my God, I love that movie. I think that's the reward, and that's been the case with Rogue One. Production of Rogue One became infamous as reports circulated that Lucasfilm sidelined Gareth Edwards and brought on Tony Gilroy. And that's why we give him a lot of the credit, who went on to create Andor Season 1 and Season 2. To write new dialogue and direct additional scenes. Gareth told KCRW's The Business in 2023 that there is so much inaccuracy surrounding the making of the Star Wars prequel. And that's, of course, what he goes on to say. But saying that it's not the best Star Wars movie, I mean, that's a little far-fetched. Disney Star Wars movie is a little far-fetched. I think it definitely is, but you guys tell me in the comments. It's top 7 for sure. Okay. Yeah. Rogue One I have at 5. Okay. It's number 2. Oh wow. It's top 3. It's actually the best one. Oh my God. Empire's still my favorite. Okay. Top 5 for sure. I'm not excited for Dawn of the Jedi just because I felt like they're going to abandon the Jedi lore, but there is still hope yet. I don't know how close it's going to be to Legends. I feel like when we go to this, not only the Dawn of the Jedi stuff, but the Old Republic era, I think people are going to go in with the mindset of this is going to be exactly like the Legends that I remember, and it's not going to be, and that's going to cause for many people to be upset about this. This whole Old Republic era and the Dawn of the Jedi era too. They just won't like it. Yeah. Should we put up a poll? All right, let's put up a poll. Let's put up a poll. So yeah, that's my concern with Dawn of the Jedi and the Old Republic, because they're not going to do the same as the Legends material. It'll be close, but it won't be the same, and that will probably anger a lot of people. It's the same thing that's going to happen with the Heir to the Empire stuff. Mara Jade's probably not showing up. Luke, Leia, and Han probably aren't going to be as involved as they are in the Legends stories. It's going to be the Rebels crew. It's going to be the Din Djarin and Grogu, Ahsoka, Boba Fett. Like, those are going to be your main characters. Yes, Luke, Leia, and Han might show up. They might be a part of it, but they're not going to be the main characters that they are in Legends. And that's going to anger a lot of people. But that's going to be the way that it's going to work moving forward. As we have this treasure trove of content in Legends, as it comes to canon, it's going to be different. And that's going to anger a few people. Okay. Wow, this poll was really close. What the hell? Where will Jod show up next? Mandalorian and Grogu is at 36%. Skeleton Crew Season 2, 35%. And 28% say Ahsoka Season 2. That's crazy close. I'm actually shocked at how many of you think that Skeleton Crew will get a second season. I mean, it could, but I don't think it really will. But we'll see. Okay. What was my poll? Oh, yeah. Is Rogue One the best Disney era Star Wars movie? In your personal opinion, yes or no? For me, yeah. I mean, it is. Force Awakens is the only one that really gives it a run for its money, and then Solo maybe after that. But yeah, I think it is. I think it is. I love Skeleton Crew, but I really don't think it needs another season. It already had a perfect ending. I don't know if that's just me or if that's what everybody thinks. I agree with you. I don't really think Skeleton Crew needs a second season. If there's a story for one, then sure. But I agree. I think the finale of Skeleton Crew was sort of a good close for those characters. However, they could easily show up in something else. Like Skeleton Crew Season 2 doesn't have to happen, but Jod Na Nawood's character can live on in other projects. You know? Yeah. Honestly, they should just make the KOTOR and SOTOR MMOs as canon. That's very difficult to do, though. And it doesn't allow them to make those movies over again and tell those stories again and make money off of it. Yeah. That guy B says, man, I have the notifications set and everything and I'm still late. Yeah, I don't know. YouTube does that sometimes where it doesn't notify you, even if you have notifications on. It's weird. It's weird. I don't know. I don't know. Yeah. Okay. I feel like there's one other thing I wanted to get to today, and I don't know what. Oh, yeah. This is the new thing: is Coca-Cola and Star Wars are teaming up. So now Coca-Colas are gonna have Star Wars characters on it. That's Baylan Skoll versus Ahsoka. That's pretty cool. You got Darth Maul over there. You got Vader in his hallway scene. Yoda over there. But there's other ones too. It's like there's a Mando and Grogu one and stuff like that. So that's pretty cool. Yeah. Speaking of Skeleton Crew, let's not forget how great this scene was. These B-Wings coming in. Absolutely destroying this. Pretty epic. Oh wow, they got an Anakin one too. This is pretty cool. Got Palpatine one. How many designs are there? It's getting out of hand. Oh, here we go. Here's all of them. Ahsoka, Boba Fett, Cassian, K2SO, Kylo. Oh, that's so sick. Kylo in the forest with the snow falling. Lando, Din Djarin, Obi-Wan, Padme, Palpatine, Poe Dameron. Pretty cool. Oh my god. Look at all these characters. Holy crap. Oh, I don't want to sign up for your newsletter. Anakin, BB-8, C-3PO, and they're playing chess or whatever it is. Chewbacca. They just went for everybody. Finn, Grogu with the mud horn. Han Solo, Luke, Leia, 3PO, Rey, Yoda. Oh my god, it goes on for days. Another Din Djarin and Grogu one. Whoa, that's pretty cool. Sorry. I got distracted by Coke bottles. I don't even drink soda. Okay, sorry. Got a little bit distracted there. Where were we? Were we talking about something about Big Blue Meanie or something? I don't know. Yeah. We need Chewbacca in the Filoni stuff. I am down for that. He's the easiest character to bring back because you don't have to deepfake or recast him. They already got who's the guy who's doing the Wookiees now? He did Kelnaka, or no, not Kelnaka. Is it Kelnaka? Yeah, Kelnaka. I was right. Kelnaka in the Acolyte, and Chewbacca in the sequels, right? Jonas, yes, that Jonas, is it Jonas? Whatever it is. Yeah, he's the new Chewbacca, so you could just have him play Chewbacca. You don't have to deepfake or recast or anything like that. Yeah. By the way, this poll, which I'm ending right now, 77% of you say it's the best. Really? That's actually lower than I thought it was going to be. So 23% of you say that it's not. Well, what's the best then? Of those 23% of you, what is the best Disney era Star Wars movie then, if it's not Rogue One? In your personal opinion. Okay. We got to that. We got to that. We got to that. I think we hit everything I wanted to talk about. Oh, yes, this. Okay. Sorry. It is just that good. Yeah. Do you think any of the Bad Batch will return? Yes. I think we'll probably see them as old people again, maybe. But Omega, definitely. Omega 100. No, 1000%. Her importance to the Project Necromancer stuff is crazy, but just her relationship to Boba Fett as well, being the only other unaltered clone, unaged, accelerated clone, I should say. So, yes, Omega for sure. Yeah. Do I think Star Wars can be saved? Saved from what? That's my question back to you. I don't think Star Wars needs saving. We just came off of arguably the greatest Star Wars show of all time. So saving from what, I guess, is my question to you. Yeah. Better be Michelle Ang. I don't know if it will. Like live action Omega, Michelle Ang doesn't really look the part, you know? It should be Tamara Morrison in a blonde wig. Obviously. Duh. Yeah. All right. But with that being said, I think that's a great place to leave off with that image of Tamara Morrison in a blonde wig in your head. I do have to get on out of here. I got to go finish up a short for today. So watch out for that. It's Luke Skywalker, Mark Hamill, talking sequels as per usual. So, yeah. But until then, smash a freaking like on the stream if you have not already. How many likes do we have, chat? How many likes do we have, chat? Okay, we good. That's 69. Nice. Nice. I appreciate the super chats today, and as per usual, yeah, smash a freaking like on the stream if you have not already. Hit that subscribe and hit that bell so you get notified every time I post a video. In my pretty face. Yeah, just like I said. And yeah. Exactly. Okay. May the force be with you. Always. Oh, yeah. What a great stream. What a great show. You guys are the absolute best. I appreciate you all so much more than you will ever know. I mean, when you look at the future of Star Wars content and I guess the past, like we talked about, this last 6 years have just been so insane for Star Wars fans. And now everything seems so interconnected. And moving forward, it looks absolutely insane. Thrawn's plan of taking over possibly at Atin and over to Mandalore and all this other stuff from this one just map. Like they just released a map and we were like, okay, this is greatest thing ever. Rakata teases from Andor, now going back 25,000 years to Dawn of the Jedi. Like it truly is, and I say it all the time, the greatest time to be a Star Wars fan. You like all the old stuff, go watch it on Disney Plus. It's all there for you. Boom, go watch it. If you want new stuff to look forward to, get hyped up for, it's on the way. 2026 is going to be an insane year for Star Wars content, and I can't freaking wait. But until then, I hope you have a great rest of your evening, great rest of your lives, and good night, everybody.